Hey everybody, well, we're back. It's been a little while, but this is our newest Victims of Crime video. We're here with Ryan and Brian from Undertaking the Podcast and John Hill, a funeral director and embalmer down in South Carolina now. You have moved.
North Carolina.
Why do I want to put you in South Carolina?
That's all right.
Maybe that's fan club bases now, because you have fans, John.
There are some fans in South Carolina, as Brian very much well knows. So.
Fans.
Oh, bird.
My goodness. So the topic of what we do here, we talk about a crime. We don't try and solve the crime. We're more concerned with how are we caring for somebody if they died in this scenario. So today's topic, we're going to talk about Natalee Holloway, which was and still is kind of a big story. You guys remember this story?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Back in 2005, which it's crazy that it's been, was that 17 years ago? So
Good God.
Natalee was on a graduation trip to Aruba with a bunch of classmates and chaperones, went out one night and has disappeared since, never to be found again. Have you guys dealt with any scenarios like this within your communities at all? I know it's a pretty unique situation.
Yeah, it's pretty unique. For me, absolutely not. Ryan?
No, sir. Not me at all. So I don't know what, I mean, that would be an interesting conversation.
Yeah. John?
Same here. I got really nothing to add to that. I haven't experienced anything like that in our community.
Well, and so, I mean, this has gone on for years, and then Jordan Vandersloot became the primary suspect. There was two other.
Oh, yeah.
He eventually got arrested and imprisoned for killing another girl, but still has never said, hey, yep, I killed Natalee. So it still is a mystery on this little bitty island where she ever went. What is interesting about this situation, I for 2 hours was diving and researching and trying to figure this out, could not find that her family had ever had a funeral for her, even after this long. So do you guys think, I mean, in everything we see and everything we do, hold out hope, or do you maybe have a funeral and then rejoice when you don't have to? Like, there's a lot with that.
Can I
Hold
say
on, Ryan's got something. Go
Can I say one thing? Because this is like brand new CNN breaking news. Sorry, CNN, nobody cares. Jordan Vandersloot was, what did you say, convicted for a second murder?
Yeah.
Yep. All on tape. All on hotel tape.
Yep.
I did not know that. Oh my God.
Let me see if I have the date of when that happened.
Dude, it's crazy.
Wow.
They have a timeline from when they went into the hotel room and when he left, what he left with. I mean, it was a pretty cut and dry deal.
In January of 2012, he was convicted of the May 30th, 2010 murder of Stephanie Flores Ramirez in Peru.
Good God.
And then in that same month that he was convicted of that, the family also requested, Holloway's father requested that she be declared dead, kind of in light of, okay, we know he killed somebody and he was our primary suspect, so it's only logical to believe that she is dead. So let's have her declared dead. So she was declared dead 10 years ago. But
Natalee.
Yes, Natalee. But
Got
I
it.
can't find that they've ever had a funeral. Her friends talked in one article about
man.
they did some things to kind of remember her and have their own moment, but her family they've never publicly had a bodiless funeral or a memorial service of sorts. We saw a lot of that, I think 9/11 and all of this, where maybe there was certainty of death, and maybe it's because they don't want to give up hope.
Right.
And I guess we can't ever know what that feels like or what that situation is like, but what do you guys think that would look like? Like if you sit down with a family and there's no body.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Brian, I don't think it's hard. Do you? I mean, we do that all the time. We do that all the time when it comes to memorial services, when it comes to celebrating the life without the body there. I don't think it's hard at all. The hard thing is I think accommodations, depending on what the status of the funeral is, and state funeral, not a state funeral. If it's a high profile person, you just never know there. And then depending on what the family is requesting, I mean, that's always a challenge, but I don't think it's any different than anything we ever do. Just honestly, weekly at times.
Honestly, Ryan, my brain went a completely different way. It was like, okay, because you're still holding out hope. This is the way I would feel, is like you're still holding out hope. It's like, why have a funeral when you're still holding out hope? But not having a funeral doesn't make it permanent, and it's not you're just missing that time. All these. Sorry, guys. My brain is going like all these like milestones that we have in our lifetime. Graduation, puberty. We're getting ready to have that here with me or my family. So yeah, puberty, college, graduation, high school, whatever, like all these things. And then you get to the end of someone's life and you don't have a funeral. There's something missing. But if you're holding out hope, I don't know how you do that. Like, I don't know if I would. Pastor John, what do you think, buddy?
Well, it looks like that she was declared dead on January the 12th, 2012. And just elaborate more of what you just said, Brian. Why do we have a funeral? Why do we have a memorial service? It's not for the dead, it's for the living.
Right.
And a funeral and a memorial service is not necessarily closure. That is a word that we do use. It's more of acceptance. It's acceptance that your loved one has died. And there is no doubt in my mind, Natalee Holloway's family, parents, all of who she's related to, friends, there is not a place of acceptance. They have no closure. They have no idea what happened to her. So I can't blame them for not necessarily having a funeral, because they're still not past that acceptance stage part.
But Kari, did Natalee's family have a funeral or a memorial?
There's nothing I can find that has happened unless they had a small private something. But, it's one of those, if I would think as a mom, okay, if I have a funeral right now, does that mean they will stop looking?
Yeah.
Does that mean it will become irrelevant because it'll
exactly
accepted this and everybody else will move on? But if I don't, and if I hold out for that moment, then people will keep looking. Because even just recently, I think this last year, or even it might have been this spring, when the anniversary, was it Nancy Grace, that blonde?
Probably.
I can't think of what it is. They went to Aruba to like do a show there, were not well received. I mean, the island's this big, so everybody knew they were there, and they were not well received, but they're still trying to find something. Just
exactly.
Let them have that moment.
I'm in that camp. Like, I would not have a funeral before I knew for sure. For sure. I mean, this is what we do. I mean, we dig out collapsed buildings. We search the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
Because knowing is better than not knowing. And like, I don't know what, like fake knowing, like just saying, okay, well, we've done give up. Even if they have a service, I don't think they've given up. If you don't have a body, if you don't have anything, I don't get it. I don't know.
Well, it's like, did she get sent to the sex trade? Like, is she physically still alive somewhere in some capacity, mind erased?
Yeah.
I don't know, there's a million scenarios. I did have one family that we worked with years ago, and their daughter had gone missing, and she had gone missing for years. I can't remember the exact number of years. It's been a hot minute. And they finally found her body, full on just bones at that point.
Wow.
They had never had anything because they didn't know. That mom came in, we got her back in the banker's box, because someone actually asked me this the other day on video, like, if they're just bones, do they put them in a body bag? I'm like, you go to lift that body bag, they're all falling to the middle and they're all clattering together. So you often get a box that has all the bones in it from the medical examiners if you're at that stage. So this mom came in and she laid her daughter out in the casket, all the bones individually, placed the bones, laid down this blanket and laid all the bones out. I mean, as anatomically kind of correct as possible, and just wanted to feel every part of her daughter. And it was kind of a beautiful moment. Like, I think as a parent, having that moment finally, like, this is my daughter, I'm putting her to rest, and this whole chapter is now closed, and having that funeral and doing all that. So I can see that. And I can see not really being able to do it until that. I think I'm kind of torn. I think part of me thinks I would want the gathering and the support and everything, but I would also want to wait until I knew for sure.
But well, how much relief would there be if Natalee Holloway's parents did a funeral or did a memorial? There wouldn't be no relief there. And the person that you just described, that she laid, all the bones out of her daughter, she got relief. She got that acceptance, and there would not be any relief or no acceptance in Natalee Holloway's case.
Yeah.
No, John, I think you're right.
I went a totally different route.
Do your route, man.
No, I went a totally different route.
With a memorial service. I mean, I think that is logical, but those people know their loved one is dead and they know where they are because they're
exactly
somewhere, even though there is no body present. So it brings up a good question. I guess that's one like to pose to you, the viewers. What would you do in this scenario? Like, tell us your input on this. If your loved one was lost, presumed dead, and you had not found them, would you go forward with having a funeral service? Or would you wait? Would you wait years? Would you wait decades? What would you do?
Okay, yep. I'll jump in here. For me, no, I would probably not do one.
Yeah.
But if my mind changed, like, I would accept that too. But Ryan and I, with the Undertaking the Podcast, we've interviewed several different embalmers, several different families who has found comfort in being in physical touch. So this is a situation where they can't view. Like, there's nothing that we can do as embalmers to make viewing possible, but we can cover, we can make a situation as pleasant as it can possibly be. And there's no pleasantness about this. It's gonna suck. It's gonna break us as funeral directors. It's gonna push us to the edge. But the embalmers, the funeral directors out there, can give you a hand. They can give you a tattoo if they have the remains present. But if they don't, like, I don't know. Like, for me, like, I'm thinking, like, I'm gonna hold out hope. Even though, like, the Natalee Holloway situation, the hope is diminishing. It is way diminished.
Yeah.
But do you have a funeral? I don't know. You know what? If they do, we're here to help them do it. So great for that. But if they don't, we're here to encourage that too. So whatever their feelings are, we're here to encourage that help them. And that's my bit, guys.
Well, hopefully the Joran idiot will stop being a Richard and will, like, just give it up. Like, at this point, if you're in prison for your life, like, what does it matter if you just give up information and stop being a jerk about it, I guess. But
can I add something to this, Kari? And funerals have a lot of names nowadays. It's not just funeral anymore, it's memorial service. But what is the most popular nowadays you hear?
Let's do it.
Celebration
of life.
Celebration of life. So they could term it that and say, we're not going to talk about her death. We're going to talk about her life. Exactly. So, I mean, you can do that all you want, but the tears are still going to be flowing. People are still going to be grieving. They're going to still be mourning because there's nothing there. And I mean, I was just thinking about, what could you do? Many months ago, we had a memorial service for a couple that died a few months apart from COVID, and both of them were buried, but they both were already buried. And then we had a memorial service, and we just had nice flowers out, a nice picture of the couple there. but none of their bodies were present. There was not an urn present, nothing like that. But that's just so different because there is actually a place. There's actually disposition that took place. And
Right.
I mean, you know, you can have like a memorial somewhere where, like, you know, something in her name, something given in hope in her community. I don't know if anything like that's happened where the parents, you know, were trying to honor Natalee's memory in their community, you know, have some type of bench. I don't know, some type of statue. I don't know.
There's something I think I read, if I'm remembering, in Aruba that they put.
Okay.
I feel like there's a bench, and I feel like it's in Aruba. I could be totally wrong.
Okay.
You guys will all.
So I mean, there's something like that, but
Yeah.
but they're still, in my mind, I guarantee you, the parents, no doubt, they still have no relief, and they're still holding out hope, and there's no acceptance there. There's always going to be that doubt. There's always going to be that thought in their mind, what if? Or there's no closure whatsoever because they don't know the story. They don't know all of what happened.
And here's the thing, John, this situation plays itself out across the United States or North and South America daily, that the body is whisked away and they disappear, and there's grandkids going, bye, like kind of bye, like you know, we have been taught as children to say hello and goodbye, and when we don't get that goodbye, and it happened with my grandparents. Both my grandparents were directly cremated, no services, no nothing. My grandfather is in the Colorado River, don't know where. It's a long river, who knows. It's just, I've got no space, and it's like that space is important when you don't have it.
Absolutely. And there's a big disconnect. I mean, someone that you're that close to all of those years, someone you had that connection with, and all of a sudden you're unplugged. And and you don't have that final moment, that final time. And, you know, I tell families all the time, you know, there's more than just the death of your loved one here in their body and their physicality.
Right.
It's your relationship. You no longer have that connection anymore. And, you know, that's what's just so terrible about this situation, is that there's such a disconnect, and they don't, I mean, it's like it's just totally ripped out from under them, and there's no recovery. There's no recovery until they know the story.
Can I say this, guys, real quick? We as funeral directors and embalmers in this situation are helpless. There's nothing to gather. There's nothing to reconstruct. There's no post-mortem reconstructive surgery that we can do because your loved one has not been found. So
it's almost like a hypothetical funeral.
It's damn right. It's like,
hypothetical.
You know, we are just as helpless as the family. We want to help. We want to help. But what the hell do you do? You know, you could have a funeral, and then 2 days later, they just walk in going,
well, thank God. Yeah.
Hello. God. Sandals sucked. You know, what do you do? You know,
there's nothing to do, because one of our jobs is, and I say job, one of our professional skills is to have that person at peace, give them that peaceful pose.
Right.
And you can't give the family that peace that they need.
Yeah.
No way.
Well, thank you, guys. We'll close this one out. But yeah, give us your thoughts, because I think this is such a personal choice on what you guys would do. So share with us. We all want to hear it. And check out Ryan and Brian on Undertaking the Podcast on all your podcast platforms. And send out love for John. Join the fan club.
Woohoo!
I need to start one. I'm going to seriously.
Pastor Tom. I love
seriously do it. So thanks, guys. And we'll see you on the next one. Bye.